Hey, the SeerNova Podcast, episode 129. Oh, we already did 129. Yes, we did. So,
Wait, do we play it now or later?
what? Yeah, that's gonna play now. I forgot
We're
I had
back!
a Nova Nation thing. Yeah, we're back after a couple months off.
8 years we've been gone in a journey in the land of the lost.
Yeah.
There was T-Rexes and
I was
stuff.
going through
there.
stuff. There was a lot of stuff going on. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do the podcast because I don't have the energy for that.
Like, listen, I want to take a nap too sometimes.
It was a little hibernation. So we're back until probably November, like the beginning of November, and then we're going to do our Comic-Con again and then go away. So, right now we got a Kickstarter going on for Mittens 2. If you like cats and space and all that other stuff, then you'll like Mittens.
Are we screen sharing?
I'm going to.
I wasn't sure if you wanted me to do it.
Yeah.
We're doing awesome. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
But to show you how awesome. Look at that. People like cats. And if you don't donate, you hate cats.
And dogs. And there's a lot of new characters in the second one.
Like dogs.
Introduced. Yeah, there's a pug named Slugger. He gets introduced. Commissioner Quackers has more of a role, I guess. And then there's another character that is actually pretty important to just our universe in general. He is in this issue. So that's pretty cool.
Nice.
And there's a picture that's in issue 2. I haven't said this on any other show or anything like that. Just our show. There's a picture that's in like one panel. And that person in the picture is like very, 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 very important to like our comic universe. So
nice.
Yeah.
Is it who I think it is? Do we have a playing card of him that was never printed? That Hector might have designed?
No, we don't have that yet. No.
There's no like. Who's that?
Just ringing the doorbell.
We're back, baby.
It's Mrs. Doubtfire. No, I don't think he has. Yes, it's he. I don't think he has a trading card, but he's like super important and everything.
Is it pizza? Did you get pizza?
No, I didn't.
In the middle of our podcast, Greg. Damn.
I think it's the person that like mows the lawn or something.
Nice.
Yep, it's him. So yeah. Mittens were almost to 3,000. So probably by the time that this goes live on Wednesday, it will probably be at that. That's our next stretch goal, and that's our like parody Pokemon trading card set. So we're gonna have like Mittens and Slugger and a couple other characters like on like our own version of like Pokemon trading cards.
Do they have elemental powers?
They have something like that, yeah. So it's pretty cool. They got little attacks that I had to come up with, like Cat Scratch, and I was gonna call it Cat Scratch Fever. Yeah, but I was like, I won't call it that.
That should have been a side effect. It's like after every time you do this attack, flip a coin, and if it lands on heads, then applies Cat Scratch Fever.
Yeah.
Where the guy can't stop scratching himself in the next 20 minutes.
Those cards are going to basically the high tier people. So we have a plushie, and there's only one of those left, and so people really like that. Yeah. So there's a Mittens plushie, and then you get like almost everything else with that. That's $85. Yes, $85. And then there's the sketch cover, and that's $125. There's 2 of those left out of 5, so that's pretty crazy. So those people will get those, and then I think we're gonna make it as an add-on because it's pretty cheap to make the cards. So that's awesome.
Cheap, no, pretty inexpensive.
Inexpensive. And then
They're not cheap; they're high quality.
we were gonna do glow in the dark covers, but we're not doing that for this one because I'm trying to like save some money, and maybe some of the money that we get, I can like use for
The next one.
The next, well, yeah, what's the next one?
You want to get more mittens?
Yeah. The third one is the last one. So of this plot arc, there's a lot more after that. And then there's one last stretch goal, and that's the Mittens Ash Can, and it's actually the adventures of Mittens, like before he like went away from his little group gang thing that he's part of called Oath of the Litter. If you know
Oath of the Litter.
Yeah, if you know what that is, it's on his trading card, so you can get the Mittens trading card on our '90s throwback tier that we unlocked through a stretch goal earlier in the campaign. He actually joined. He has a sidekick cat, and it's actually my cat Marshall. So, and he's kind of dumb. So he's I just wrote
exactly like his cat.
So they are looking for the blueprint for the perfect tuna sandwich. So it kind of is like meta because we gave that away in the first campaign in the flash drive. So it's kind of like bringing that back. So yeah, without further ado, back Mittens, by the way. If you are watching this, it's the thing scrolling on the bottom of the screen.
And that's assuming that we haven't already sold out of our plushies. There's one left. Get it.
Yeah, get the
or I'm going to get it.
It's also going to be in the description on YouTube and whatever. And it'll be every single time I'm sharing the podcast. So back Mittens, it's got like 15 days. By 6 o'clock, it'll be 14 days. So it ends August 20th, which is we're going to be recording another podcast episode. So by the time that comes out, though, it'll be over. Cool. So I will invite our guest.
You say invite?
Elvis. What's up?
Going on? Can you guys hear me well?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Cool.
How you guys doing this afternoon?
Good.
Doing pretty good. Almost out of coffee, though, so I'm a little mad about that.
I got my coffee now. There's my cup of coffee.
Cheers. You should get yourself
Powerade.
A Buttercat mug.
Yeah. We have two. We have a latte one, and we have a just a regular mug. I actually have them in my kitchen. I wish I still had that promo for that somewhere. Not here. Cool.
Mine's MIA, so I cannot show it to you. I don't even know where I would have put it.
Yeah, mine are in the cabinet in the kitchen.
Oh, it's over there. That's why I see it. It's off in the distance, so I can't show it to you. I could go get it, but then I'd have to get out.
So we're gonna ask a couple questions and stuff. So who are you and what do you do? And then we'll get into the deep dive.
My name is Elvis Cardona, and I'm an artist hailing from North Carolina, but living in Kentucky right now with my wife and my children. I'm an artist at Dynamite Entertainment as a sketch card artist, and I've done a few other projects for Upper Deck Marvel sketch cards, SeerNova Comics for a Kickstarter print for Chronicles of Horror volume. Is it volume 1 or volume 2?
2, I think, right?
Volume 2, yeah. I did a print for that Kickstarter, and stay-at-home dad for now. I'm currently looking for a job. I just got laid off my job a few weeks ago at a warehouse factory. So I'm currently looking for work right now. I'm an artist, cartoonist, Lucky Comics. I did a cover for Crown the Barbarian, cover B, and I did a cover for Rebel Comics, Mud issue number 1 is a Halloween issue, variant cover. But yeah, I'm mainly a husband and father and artist.
I was looking through. I was trying to find some bios on you, and first off, you definitely got to get more about you written online. I was like looking through all the stuff. I'm like, what's this guy about? What else don't we know? And then I'm like,
Yes.
oh, there's not a lot going there. But I did find out that it said you've been drawing since you were 9, and then you had
Yes.
stopped for a while. And
Yes.
I basically wanted to ask, what prompted you to pick up the pencil again and pursue comic artistry?
That's a good question. I did start when I was 9 years old, and I would draw just random things. I would draw in school, after school, draw at home, and I just stopped for a long time. But reading comic books since I was a kid, and just being influenced by the artwork and the artists, the old artists like John Romita Jr. and Sr. and Gene Colan and John Buscema. What inspired me to pick up the pencil again was I love drawing. It's very therapeutic. It very, very, it makes the time go by fast once you get sucked in your artwork and you're in the zone and you're just focused, and everything else just fades away, so to speak, because you're just so focused in your artwork and creating. I love creating. Recently started my own character named Black Titan. He's a black superhero, and a writer from Lucky Comics wrote a script for me, and I started doing the layout pages, 2 layout pages. It's an 8-page comic book, and I stopped that for a while because I pursued other projects, Dynamite Entertainment, and just doing sketch cards and doing different creations here and there. Just commissions. I've done commissions. But basically, I just just wanted to draw again, and I love doing it. So,
Cool. Do you have any who are your biggest artistic influences and what inspires your artwork and storytelling?
I really love the old artwork from the 60s, 70s, and 80s artwork, from the comic book artwork. John
Like the Silver Age.
Yeah, the Silver Age. Yeah, Silver Age, like John Romita Sr. I love his Spider-Man. Ross Andrews Spider-Man. Definitely love Gene Colan's artwork on Daredevil and Iron Man. I'm just a big fan of the old school artwork.
That's the Bronze Age. I think I just realized I mixed that up. The Bronze Age starts in 1970.
Yeah, the Bronze Age. Yeah, the Bronze Age. Yeah. A lot of my comic collection is from the 60s, 70s, 80s. I got a few 90s books like Topic Parlor's Spider-Man. I got a lot of the John Byrne X-Men. I got a lot of the Romita Jr. and Roger Stern run of Spider-Man, like the Hobgoblin. I'm just a big fan of the old, the old school artwork. I'm not much into the new stuff. I mean, some of the new stuff is pretty good, but I feel like some of the artwork that's coming out now is kind of strayed away from the old style of, drawing.
What in particular do you like about the old style? Like something I've noticed about anime, for example, is that the old anime, there was just something about it. I couldn't figure it out until I had rewatched, I think it was Cowboy Bebop. And the thing I noticed was their immense detail to background images that you might never even get close to. There's sometimes where they're going by a city or buildings that they will never go into. They'll never go visit, or they won't even land on that planet. And for whatever reason, immense detail to the background. And to me, I think what they did was by doing that, they built a stronger world around it. But when it comes to the comic book space, what from the old comics, what type of drawing is it? The lightness and the coloring, the sharpness of the inking, or if anything, maybe the more sharpness now that you don't like? What's the what are the details of it that you really liked then and aren't so much a fan of now?
Well, I really like the differences for me between the old school and the new school artwork. What really draws me in the old school artwork is just the way they would draw their characters and the movements and the inking, especially because I love inking my stuff too. Inking, it was very clean and crisp. The pencil lines were really just clean and crisp and very, very easily to interpret. And the inking styles of like Joe Sinnott, I don't know how to explain it. It's just the artwork from the 80s and the 60s and 70s is just, it's got a lot of energy to me. And that's what makes me want to do more artwork and comics and just start my own book eventually, or pursue that. The way they would do their layouts and everything, and just it's for me it's easy to follow along with the old school way of comic books.
Like probably their panel flows and things like that as well. Then
Panel
that's what I imagine.
the panel flows and like the way they would have some of their characters, break out of the panels, and everything was just very detailed. The backgrounds, the buildings, like Spider-Man swinging, through the city of New York, especially like Todd McFarlane style. Yes, Todd McFarlane style. He was watched a short documentary of him called Like Hell I Won't. It's on YouTube. Very inspiring. And Todd's Spider-Man for me is just, he broke away from the old traditional of how to do the character, and he added more webbing to his costume and the big eyes, and webbing almost was like, it was alive to me. It would come out of the page, and it was just, his style to me is one of the most, one of the founding styles of comic artwork today. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous. I've never done, first time doing a podcast, well, second time doing a podcast, but.
Oh, you're all good. No, it's cool though, because like I definitely agree. There's some differences in how drawn in some of that artwork would pull you in, and how some of the artwork now, it's weird because it actually seems more detailed but more flat. Like it doesn't feel as like in depth as it used to, and I feel like it's because there's just something about the old way that comics were drawn that they didn't have a lot to work with, so they did the best with what they can. And now it's so easy to do. I feel like it's almost like people are trying to make it faster, which also makes sense. Like if one person can pump out 20 comics of okay quality and one person just makes one really good one every 8 years, right? Like it's not gonna, you're not gonna be able to compete with the person who's just pumping them out and building a world, because I feel like that's the thing. And I think that's why I was mentioning like the old anime that I like. It's world building. There's this like beautiful landscapes that we never even have to touch, but I can see them. And so that it just pulls you in while they're just flying by this building. So yeah, it's interesting. I noticed on ArtStation, because it was one of the few places I could find a bio. I did see, a freelance sketch card artist at Dynamite Entertainment. And also I noticed that you emphasize, you're a believer in Christ. And I wanted to ask, how does your faith influence your creative process? Does it adjust like your drawing style or what you choose to draw or how you choose to draw it? How does that impact your artwork?
So, being a believer in Christ, I believe that he gave me this talent to be able to draw, because not everyone can draw. I mean, people can draw, but for me, it's a God-given talent to be able to draw, and just, from 9 years old to now. And Christ to me he's my savior. He's my friend, my brother. And when I do my artwork, I'm like working for the Lord to please him, not, people or myself, just to please him. And I do my best. Well, I do stay away from, the sexualized artwork, because Dynamite has a lot of, Red Sonja and Vampirella, and I try to stay away from those kind of things and make my artwork clean and kid friendly, and I just that's why I do that kind of artwork. I just stay away from the other stuff, the sexualized artwork, and there's a lot of it out there. A lot of it out there, and I try to stay away from those things when I'm drawing.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, just was curious.
How would you describe your like artistic style, and how did you develop your unique visual storytelling approach?
My style, I lean toward more like a cartoonish style. I used to try to copy and try to like do stuff like Ramita Senior did and Ramita Junior, and Jack Kirby is another one. And I just developed my own style. I use a lot of references of things I can't, like hands for me are really hard to draw. But my visual style and artwork is just, I try to envision what I want in my head on paper, and I just let it flow out. My style, sometimes it's different from, my style can be different, from day to day, depending on what I'm drawing. And as far as comic book art goes, I try to use the influences that I grew up reading, Ramita Senior, Junior, Gene Colan, Herb Trimpe. So I try to visualize what I'm trying to do and interpret that on paper, and I just, get in that creative mindset. And half the time I'm just zoned in, and I try to just make my artwork clean, and my visual style. I have a lot of influences in my artwork, creativity wise and artwork wise. So
That's cool. It's funny when you mentioned hands, because I had a roommate in college who basically got a huge scholarship just because he was really good at drawing hands. Like it's one of the most difficult things to draw. That's why a lot of cartoonists draw with 4 fingers, because that extra, like for whatever reason, like this extra output of the thumb, it throws artists off. And I just remember he had this like really cool artwork where it was like a phone, like a smartphone in front of a hand, and like the hand was drawn so well, and then where the smartphone was, it was like an X-ray where the inside of the hand was all what's it called, robotics. Like it was like a robotic hand, so it looks like, it is very cool when someone's like exceptionally good at drawing hands, but it is like an interesting like kneecap for most people. Speaking of which, you mentioned like, so that's kind of how you shaped your comic book artistry. You mentioned you work with Dynamite Entertainment, specifically doing sketch cards as well.
yes.
What makes sketch card artistry unique? Like what's like? Do you try to like draw it the same way you would draw a panel, or do you draw it a little different, more like concept art, things like that?
It's more of concept art, because it's of course working like a panel, or it's a very small space, and you have to kind of utilize the entire space when you're doing a character, or especially a character or background. Again, it's working with a very small space, and it took me a long time to know how to draw on a sketch card. When I first did sketch cards for Upper Deck and Marvel, I sent in a few samples to the art director, and I must say I've come a long way doing sketch cards. My style doing sketch cards has changed. But yes, it's working with a very small space and limited space. So you have to utilize it, just try to make the best of it, utilize the entire space. If you're doing just a head, just a head sketch, or doing a full character on a sketch card, you have to, like I say, you have to utilize the entire space of that sketch card and just make it work. They're not really easy to do sketch cards.
Do you actually draw them on the size of a sketch card, or do you work with the larger piece and scale it? Because I know like some storyboarding and like comic panels, some people they'll work on a larger page and then scale it down. But are you drawing like on the actual card size like itself?
Yes. When I did Boglins for Dynamite, they had all the artists on that project do I think it was maybe four, maybe five sketches on a sheet of paper, and I had to do mine sketch card. I drew it out with a ruler, the size of the sketch card, and did my sketches on the size of the sketch card, and then I went from there and did my actual cards on my drawings on the sketch cards, and I did different ones. I did one boggling with it as a DJ, one as a airplane pilot, a space cadet, one surfing on a surfboard. I mean, and to me, drawing a sketch card is very unique. A lot of people can't draw on sketch cards. I mean, it took me a long time to learn how to draw on a sketch card because of the space was so small, and it took me a while to get it right. So.
That's cool.
Yeah, so since you were like drawing on like such a small surface canvas, do you have like trouble trying to be a perfectionist? Like, how do you?
Yes, I am a perfectionist. I try to get it right every time. I don't like making mistakes, although I do make mistakes drawing. I hate making mistakes. I don't like having to draw it, go back and fix it. That's me, one of my biggest downfalls as an artist, being a perfectionist, trying to get it perfect every time. So.
Yeah, that's funny because I watched some like what's it called, like a video about procrastination and perfectionism, and it's just a big overlap because some people procrastinate by not doing it last second, and some people really procrastinate by trying to seek perfection. When if it's a paid gig, I get it, like trying to get as perfect as you can get. But one of the things that the video pointed out was like, it's kind of what I mentioned earlier, like releasing a comic every week versus a comic every year. It's the idea that if you can get 60% or 65% of your absolute best and then release it, and then you do it again, right? You can probably release, 5 times more than somebody who gets 95%, because like that last remaining percentage is so hard to get. Like, that 85 to 95% is super hard. Like no one ever gets 100% perfect, right? Like because even like the best artists are like, like I could always do something different. I could always make this one improvement, right? But like the whole idea was that if you get to 65%, you can get there much faster than you can get to that remaining percentage. And so you can release like rapid fire. And then what happens is your like pie of like how good you can be, like the 100%, gets larger. So eventually that 65% is bigger than the 95%. Right. So some people spend forever, like, because I know that was one of my biggest things when I used to play a lot with Photoshop. I would spend like days on one image just trying to make this perfect look. And then I would like, do that a couple of times, and then I'd stop doing it for a while. And then I'd try to go back and do it. And I couldn't, because I had only worked on one thing and then walked away. I didn't keep releasing and make a different one and try something different and learn a different technique from some other technique I was doing. Right. So yeah, I just think that's interesting.
Got a lot of unfinished projects, like comes from procrastination and wanting to get it perfect first time. And honestly, I mean, it's never going to be perfect, especially being an artist, never going to be perfect. There's a video montage called Finished But Not Perfect. And I find that video montage very inspiring, because you can have a finished product. It may not be perfect, but it's a finished product.
Yeah.
And I've got a book on how to draw comics from different artists. And like Romita Jr. says, the key is storytelling. The artwork always comes last, but the storytelling always has to come first. If you can tell a story, visual story on paper, then the artwork almost comes last. It's about the storytelling.
Yeah, 100%. Oh yeah, so like I said, I was scanning all your bios trying to find stuff. I noticed another one. You're a big hip hop enthusiast, and one thing I wanted to ask was, obviously you've got faith that guides your artistry, but how does hip hop, or maybe even just music in general, like shape what you draw? Like, you listen to music while you draw? Do you specifically not listen to music, or is there specific music you listen to? Like, how does music play a role in your artistry?
So I listen to music a lot when I'm drawing. I like a lot of soundtrack music, like music, just background music, no lyrics or singing, just sometimes just background noise, like atmospheric music. I listen to a lot of uh, jazz with like hip hop beats mixed in with it. No lyrics again, just jazz, hip hop. Um, I listen to Christian music as well when I'm drawing, upbeat Christian music. But I do listen to a lot of music when I'm drawing. If I'm drawing like a Spider-Man, I'd listen to Spider-Man soundtrack, like the movie soundtrack or something like that. I know it sounds kind of, kiddish, but I do like listening to a lot of soundtracks I'm drawing. If I'm drawing The Flash, I'll listen to a Flash album of like the TV series or whatever. Like I'm working with a cancer organization right now doing sketch covers, and I did a Flash cover, and I listened to the Flash movie soundtrack while I was drawing the Flash on my cover. And it kind of gives me inspiration because I'm doing a specific character, and I like to go in and just get myself ready and my mindset going and myself pumped up to do this drawing of this character. And I listen to a lot of, like I said, listen to a lot of soundtracks, a lot of hip hop, old school hip hop to give me that focus and everything. So yeah, but music has a big influence in my artwork, a big influence in my artwork.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I listen to music sometimes when I'm like writing, and I do listen to like lyrics and stuff. So sometimes I'm actually like typing, and I type the lyrics down. I was like, oh shit, and I know.
Yeah, that's definitely it's interesting because I'm similar in that, like, I can't listen to songs with vocals in them. Mostly if it's a song that I really like. Ironically, like if it's a song that's like, whatever, then I can just have it in the background. But if it's a song I like, it holds my attention. But yeah, I do like listening to instrumentals. I used to listen to I tried doing the classical thing. I couldn't do it. It actually made me sleepy. But the other one I used to listen to was instrumental metal music. It's actually surprisingly, because I'm ADHD, and what it does is it almost like overwhelms all other distractions. And because there's no words, it just sounds like a white noise to my brain. I'm just like, so I'm working away, and then all of a sudden it's just, just like going like crazy in the background. And yeah, it's interesting. I do like listening to instrumentals while working.
I think it brings out the creativity in an artist, writing, an artist, or drawing. I think it brings out a lot of creativity because, like you said, the lyrics kind of maybe be a distraction, but listening to the music without lyrics, just instruments, guitars, drums, or turntables, or beats, I really think it opens up the creativity flow, especially for me when I'm doing artwork, when I'm creating something. So.
Yeah, like certain kind of music I actually put on depending on like how I want to write. So like the mood. So if I want it to be kind of depressing, then I'll be listening to some like depressing music and be like, oh, this guy's got to be really sad. So I got to
be
Music has a lot. Music is a really big. Hi, buddy. Music is a big influence. And music to me is just depending, like I said, and music does affect your mood. It can make you sad, happy. It can bring back a song from when you were younger. You listen to the radio, and it brings back this memories of things that happened in that certain time of your life. And a lot of music I listen to from when because I grew up in the '80s, so I listen to a lot of '80s metal or rock, '80s. Like I like Boston, and I like Toto and.
Nice.
Eurythmics, Annie Lennox. I like a lot of '80s. I'm a huge '80s music fan, and I love '80s music. Yeah, music is a big influence, especially if you're writing or drawing or creating something. Music helps a lot. Helps me focus. So.
So we're gonna switch gears a little. So like, what kind of advice would you give to artists that don't really like showing their own work, like on social media or whatever?
That's a good question because I'm the same way sometimes. The best advice I can give to artists that are in the industry and starting off and are kind of embarrassed to show their artwork on social media. Um, to me, eventually it has to. I mean, that's a hard one because um, if you're creating something you love to do, love drawing, you're just scared to show your artwork. I mean, to me, you have to be. I mean, it's going to get critiqued anyway. I mean, whether it be good or bad critique, it's going to get critiqued. And it took me a while to, because I mean, I remember my artwork used to suck really bad. It sucked. I would go back to, man, did I really draw this? Like, this is horrible. And I would post it on Facebook or whatever. And I mean, and I was like, man, why did I even post this? Because to me, it wasn't that great, but I got good feedback and I got bad feedback. But when you're creating something, it's about getting your name out there and your artwork so people can see and people can, hey, give you advice. Hey, you need to work on this or work on that. You know, but I think it's a good thing to show your stuff on social media because you get a lot of feedback, and you can take that feedback, be negative or positive, and you can turn it into a positive. You can say, well, yeah, I mean, I can go back and tweak that a little bit or fix this, you know, head or shading or whatever it might be you're doing, and people across the world on Facebook and social media. So you have always this huge audience that's looking at your work and they can say, hey, this is really great. Or, you know, like I said, work on this or that. But it's just about getting feedback from different people and showing your artwork. Hey, this is what I did. This is what I created. And it doesn't have to be great or, it can just be something that you draw. And yeah, my advice would just be post it on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter and be ready for the feedback and have an open mind to the feedback and, you know, don't be, hey, well, I don't appreciate that comment because a lot of negative comments can actually boost you to being better and wanting to do better in your artwork and not be so, sore about it. Well, hey, I don't appreciate that comment. Yeah. But be open to different critiques.
Yeah, that's definitely solid advice too. Because like I feel like a lot of artists they hold, like you mentioned earlier, the perfectionism. It's like you don't even have to release finished artwork. Like you could release artwork that you've already that you've started but it hasn't completed yet. And like that'd be my biggest suggestion. I like the Gary V mindset of document, don't create. And documentation is the process to which you get to the final result. And so that's a huge thing. You can share it along the way. And maybe someone does give you feedback along the way. And I do love that, like the negative stuff. I feel like more people need negative stuff to like shape themselves better. Like if someone says something negative about you and it doesn't affect you, then you're probably already good in that spot. If it does affect you, there's probably something you need to work on. Like right. One thing I thank my aunt for is she took a picture of me at a pool party like years ago, and she posted it on Facebook, and I didn't know about it until I saw it, and I was like, oh my god, I am fat as fuck, and I never want to look like that. And I told her that later, that after I lost all the weight, that was the photo that inspired me. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you feel bad. I'm like, no, I'm glad somebody did because no one was doing it, right? Like no one was doing it to any degree that made me want to change until I saw that picture. And I'm like, oh, no, like that, that's the thing I needed to see. So yeah, absolutely. Negativity can really shape a person.
It helps you grow as an artist or anything you're doing. If it's writing or drawing or whatever you're doing, even if it's a 9-to-5 job, if you're not receiving any kind of feedback and if it's negative feedback, hey, well, I don't care, then you're not growing as an artist or writer or whatever. You're not growing at all. You're not moving forward in what you're trying to do. You're just, okay, well, I'm the shiznit and I'm doing this and I don't need anybody to tell me what to do. I know what I'm doing. And that's really, really sad and negative way to be, especially if people giving you feedback. If it's positive or negative, you just gotta roll with the punches, and it helps you grow. And if you're not growing, and if you're not growing as an artist, and you're not, or any writer or anything, you're not moving forward. You're not going. You just standing in one spot. You're not willing to
Yeah.
take advice and grow from it and move forward and learn from it. So
I always like the saying, if you're not growing, you're dying.
all right, that's true. It's a true statement.
You mentioned earlier that you were doing some work with Lucky Comics. It might be on hold at the moment, but is there any other collaborations or upcoming projects you want to share with the listeners?
Like I said, I'm doing my own comic book, working on it. Black Titan's on hold because I've been doing other things. Black Titan needs to be one issue, 8 pages. I do have something with a company called Endeavor Comics. It's a indie publisher. I'm guy on Facebook I'm talking to. And I've sent a lot of emails out to different publishers like DC, Marvel, Omni Press, IW, and a guy on LinkedIn said, "Well, no response is not it's not a closed door. I mean, those guys are very busy. They've got a lot of editing to do with their artists and writers and books they got coming out every month or every 2 weeks, whatever. So I'm just kind of like, if I get something, I get. If not, I don't. But the thing with Lucky Comics was Crown the Barbarian, and then a Six Gun Gorilla magazine that they're working on, and I did a 1 page, and I did a pinup of Six Gun Gorilla, and that's a magazine with different writers and stories and artwork. And talked to the writer, and he said it's been a hold a couple months because they haven't gotten a story from one of the writers, so they're waiting on the story from the writer. They can publish the magazine, so I'm waiting on that. But in the meantime, I'm just creating what I want to create, like my character Black Titan, and I've got a lot of ideas that I want to get out. Add to the script that he wrote for me. But my character, I think is pretty cool. I mean, his costume, like the character Black Titan that I'm working on, is a lot of like Luke Cage influences for him, my character. I'm a huge Luke Cage fan, especially the one from like the 70s and the 60s. I love Luke Cage. And his Black Titan, the character, he's a hero that grew up in the streets of Los Angeles. Of course, the cliche of both parents dying tragically, and using his powers for good, and so. But yeah, I'm just really want to get my character off and taking off with him and doing something with him and doing my comic book. So.
That's awesome. You said it was. Is he like inspired by Luke Cage kind of thing, or is it like a?
His powers, like he, of course, super strength. He's got impenetrable skin. You can't penetrate his skin or anything like that. He can fly. He wears these 2 gauntlets on his wrist that can shoot out blasts at his enemies, and he protects innocent people, children. And the environment he's put in is like it's a real environment. Drugs, people pushing drugs and sex trafficking and things like that. And he's got a really cool background story, which the writer wrote me a script, and gonna be working on the other layouts probably this week, because like I said, I really want to get him off the ground. And I learned that a lot of people that I talked to that helped me out would say, hey, just do your own book. I mean, because a lot of editors want you to do your, see what can you do, can you tell a story, can you produce pages, pencil pages, ink pages, and they want to see what you can do as an artist and visually. And that's where I'm leaning more towards, instead of going like Marvel, DC, or IDW, or Image, or whoever. because those guys are established. They've got their artists, and a lot of artists that work for these companies, these publishers, they do the artwork, the penciling, inking, the covers. So they've already got their crew, so to speak. And so me as a creator, I like to get my own book out there and say, hey, you know, this is what I can do. And people, I think, will flock to that if you can do your own thing instead of doing someone else's characters, which is cool. But to be your own person, own cheerleader, do your own thing, your own creator, I think that's what makes an artist. So
Cool. We got one last question, and that's where do you what long-term goals do you have in your whole artistic journey?
long-term goals, just keep creating, do my own book, get it out there, publish it, just keep creating. That's what I want to do. Just keep creating my own stuff, my own characters and everything, and just be my own person in the art and comic industry, make a name for myself, so to speak.
Cool.
So
Now, where can people find you?
ArtStation, Facebook, mainly Facebook. No Instagram. I've got a Twitter page. I can't remember the link on my Twitter page. I've got a LinkedIn page. Find me on LinkedIn, ArtStation, Facebook, mainly. Those three social platforms. So,
Cool.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming on.
yes, thanks for inviting me, guys. I appreciate it.
Definitely. Good having you.
You too.
That was episode 129.